The consumer sector has been doing exceptionally well over the last few years. So many of the biggest consumer companies are now used to double-digit growth. The consumer class is continuing to expand and will expand maybe even double over the coming 10 to 15 years. And consumer spending, household spending is continuing to increase, in fact more than 8% in 2016 alone. However, if you look at the more recent development, on aggregate, the biggest consumer companies in the country have been slowing down. Last year, the total growth was more than 3 percentage points below the last 5-year average, right? And why is that? Well, we see increasing competition domestically, various forms of international competition as well. And importantly, also many of the consumer companies in this country have reached very strong positions in the categories where they have chosen to compete. So right now, I think most companies are looking for ways to expand their portfolio. So one set of questions are around how do we find new sources of growth in the Philippines? Mainly, how do we expand into new categories that we're currently not competing in?
We keep our eyes open for opportunities in adjacent categories. So not straying too much from our core businesses. But for example, in our case, last year we made 2 acquisitions, both adjacent categories. So we bought a brand of condiments. We have the rights to the US and Canada. From there, we're actually learning the condiments business. So we are growing that business in those markets, but what we're learning, we're actually bringing also back here.
You can always grow by adding more stores and looking at second-tier municipalities and third-class cities that are growing in the country. But I always consider that as icing on the cake. The most important thing is that each store that we have continues to grow. And that's really having the transaction count and the average check, a balance of those two.
How do we rethink and digitize our current operations in a way that we become faster, we become leaner, we become more customer-friendly in our go-to-market approach?
Digital is very, very key. I mean, we have to be able to reach our market very well. And traditional marketing through TV, etc., continues to be there because of the reach out, especially in the provinces. But there's a very, very strong growing trend on digital. I mean, Jollibee just came up with our digital stories, and we've never seen those kinds of hits in our life. And this was on digital. And it's very easy to export and to transport. Having the digital space is something that we have to be very, very good at.
It's a new channel for us to get the message out. We're a branded company, so we have, about portfolio about 15 brands. So it's a way for us to connect and interact with the consumer. Before, it was pretty much one-to-many type of information flow. But now the feedback is very fast. We can reach out and kind of understand what our consumers are thinking. Any new concept that we're wondering, is this going to catch fire in the market? It's very easy to test nowadays, right? And you can do it relatively inexpensively.
How do we accelerate leadership development on all levels of the organization? So how do we drive more of a growth culture internally? How do we build critical capabilities in new areas such as digital and advanced analytics? And how do we think about promoting behaviors such as initiative taking, innovation on all levels of the organizations, not just driven from top management?
Our business divisions, they tend to, so they have a charter to try and find innovations within their industry groups or within their categories. That concentrates more towards higher end of the organization would be the business unit heads, the marketing directors. But the source of inspiration could be anywhere.
Looking for people, there are 3 C's I look for. That's competency, character. These things are there and people will attest for both. But what you cannot look for, what you cannot yet see is chemistry. Will these guys who have really great character, very good competency, mix very well and add value to the group that we have right now? if you would add another C just to put them all together, it's where the culture is built. What's really important to make things better than they are today, and how to sustain excellence and to create excellence. I think a very, very important aspect of any organization, whether it is in business or a baseball team, is culture. If a company doesn't have a culture, then it has quite a weak relationship with the people who can actually make a difference with the company.